And good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. I hope everyone's having a great day today. Been a pretty nice day here in North Carolina. A little chilly in the morning, but not too bad, and turned out to be a beautiful, sunshiny day. So everyone had a good day as well. Let's see. I see Tinkering Techie out there, though he may have taken off to spend a little time with the kiddos before bedtime. How's it going there, Shrimp Father? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're doing well. So the plan for tonight is going to be um, installing the EIBOS Tetras. This is the EIBOS Series X Tetras on the BambuLab AMS. They have two different products. They have the Tetras, which allows for 4 individual lanes to be heated to different temperatures. So basically, you're taking the AMS and turning it into 4 individual filament dryers. And then they've got the Dias. Dias is a 2-chamber heater. So in that case, the left 2 lanes and the right 2 lanes become separate chambers that can be controlled individually. So Tetras is each lane can be controlled separately. The Dias, you get 2 and 2. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, how are you doing? You're on your way to Maryland? Awesome, buddy. If you're on the train, you might not want to watch the stream on your phone. It's liable to use up all of your data. So I do have the instructions here. We are going to get started with this here in a second. For those of you that are watching some of the posts that we put out there, you may have seen the molding process. By the molding process, I mean the molding process. So this is a blob on a Voron that's running basically an E3D V6 hot end. And I was able to get the blob off with a little bit of work. But I find it interesting, and luckily the sock came out of the blob as well. So I was able to reuse the sock and get this printer back to the particular individual without having to replace any parts. I figured I was going to probably have to replace a thermistor, and luckily I didn't. The thermistor still works. Hey, TJ Magneto, how's it going? Quite interested in the Tetras? Well, good. We'll be getting into that in just a moment. And then I've got to ask, is anybody familiar with King Rune ABS? King Rune ABS. I had somebody come into the store today. They had bought this King Rune ABS and yeah, had all kinds of trouble trying to print it. Somebody that I know knows how to 3D print. So it's more of a issue with the filament. So I'm going to take a look at it, maybe do some tests and see if we've got, I think one is it was extremely inexpensive. It was an Amazon purchase and it was just going to be used for bulk printing. And yeah, so it was a very inconsistent print experience. He said he had times where it would run 8-10 hours without a problem, and then it's jamming every 10 seconds. You know, you take it apart, you clear out this clog, and you start printing in, and very quickly it jams up again. So he brought me 4 rolls of it, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with it. I don't know if it's contaminated like recycled ABS or what the deal is, but they brought me several rolls of this to try and play with. And just, I'm not sure if I want to try and get my, gamma printer myself. But tonight, we're going to be working on installing the Tetras on one of my AMS units. So let me, browser window. Righty, there we go, except I have no idea where that camera is deciding to point. Bear with me as I fix my camera. Apparently somebody has been flipping that around, or I forgot had it that way. There we go. So we've got our EIBOS Tetras X. Oh, come on. Yay. So we've got the EIBOS Tetras X, and we've got an AMS unit. This is the AMS unit off of my first BambuLab X1C that I bought, about 2 or 3 years ago, after we were coming home from one of the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap festivals. I think it's about 2 years ago. So, yeah, we're going to be taking a look at this. Computer's running low on storage space to pop up. Might have to handle that. I don't know if that's something to do with the streaming stuff as well. We'll keep an eye on that. So, I think what we're going to wind up having to do is look through the manual. For using warnings, please do not pick up the entire main device directly from the middle to avoid the acrylic partition in the middle from being debonded and damaged. Good to know. So it looks like we're going to start by unpacking and pulling stuff out of the box here. Nice product manual. That. And look at that. It's pretty much exactly like what we're seeing on the screens. Good. It says do not pick things up. Just to remove the side pieces here. Side pieces removed. And pick up the entire cover module from both sides. Pop it out. Okay. Kind of goes over what we're looking at here. So let's try and pull this out. It looks like there's an accessory pack. Pull that out. Just trying to reduce the amount of stuff that I've got to move around and out of the way. Assembly parts. Dryer modules. Got some pieces in the bottom. I think that's going to be it. Here we go. Not a lot in the box. Dividers, nice acrylic dividers. This should be actual drying modules. Just going to open everything up. Why not? So who's interested in the Tetras, or who has a Tetras today? I was kind of interested in the Tetras and what it could do for an older AMS. I don't think I'm going to open up all the little baggies and stuff, but getting some of our stuff out. All right. So we're going to have the independent top pieces, the acrylic baffles, which will be acrylic baffles. Acrylic cover, screen panels, rotating bracket for the screen panels, Type-C power interface, foot pads and support frame. We'll have ceiling covers in the back, ceiling ring, drying module, intake port, outlet port, drying power interface, Type-C control interface, okay, swivel hinges, main power interface, port frame, foot pads. All right, so a lot of good stuff there. Now let's just go through and make sure that we have everything here. We've got the upper cover module, the power module, which appears to be this piece here, our power module. The screen module, which would be the 4 EIBOS screens down there. Front baffles. So we've got our A, B's, and C baffles here. One A and 2B baffles. Or what the difference is. They all. Oops. Nope. One's slightly different. One is slightly different curvature. Rear acrylic baffles. We got 3 of those. Acrylic fixture A, B, and C. Looks like this pack right here of different little fixtures. Feed baffles. 4 of those. That would be these parts. So support frame, feed baffle. Foot pads, power cord, Type-C cables, silicone strip. There's our Type-C cables and power distribution, the main power cable. Screws. Where's silicone strip? That's the only thing I'm not seeing. I have to go digging around in the box again. And the screwdriver, 2 types of screws. There'll be some spare parts. That's always good to know that at least you're going to have spare parts so you don't get to the end and go, Houston, I have a problem. So to start with, looks like we are going to start by taking apart a piece on the actual AMS. Part we're going to take off looks to be the rear. So we have to come in through the bottom here and undo the hinges so that we can take the top off. Got a nice EIBOS branded hex driver here. Hey, Mad Dog Jeff, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. One screw. So we're going to convert our original AMS. This is the AMS 1 unit that was on my X1C. We're going to convert it to the Tetras. Probably check on the status of my PTFE tubes and other stuff while I'm in here. This is the unit that I know lane 1 is doing some weirdness as well. So we will probably be revisiting this unit at some point. You broke a tooth yesterday. Oof. Having it removed, still a fair bit of pain going on. I understand that probably being a painful experience. Okay, so we've got the 4 screws that will hold the hinge piece in place. We've got our locking tabs in the unlocked position, and this should just pop right off. Okay, we're going to take this and we'll set it aside for future days and endeavors. Throw some old silica gels out. And I'm going to wipe the grossness out of the bottom of this. I don't know if that came out of the silica gels or what, but the grossness bottom. And I will say that I have had a tremendous lack of preventive maintenance on this unit, primarily because I just keep printing the heck out of it. So it's got gunk and dust and stuff all up in it. I normally run this with desiccant pods in here as well. And I know that desiccant's well saturated. It needed to go anyhow. So yeah, I'm just looking at these. And kind of what I was blowing out, I don't know if I can get a view of it here. But you may see right down here, there is some what looks like black dust. That's actually coming off of the rollers themselves. So I'm probably going to, at the very least, get a set of rollers for this. And maybe take a look at my feeders as well. I also have yet to put any like replaced any of the PTFE tube in this, and I know it's got well over a few thousand hours on it. Put all the stuff back in here and act like we didn't just look at it. So our drying unit, the I'll say the power side of things here goes towards the back. We're going to set this down on here as if it was meant to be a unit on here. I'm going to see, does the latch sort of works. Doesn't go on the full 90-degree, but I'm going to use that to kind of hold this in place. Okay, first off, there's tape here on the hinge I need to take off. Apparently. Did not notice that. Tape off. Of course, this is there to protect that hinge piece and keep it from coming out and shipping. Sure that these stay in place and don't go yeeting out the side. Because once again, these do slide in and out. They are on bushings and will slide in. I want to make sure that they stay in there. That way our holes will line up so we can reinsert our screws back. That's lined up. We're going to use the locking tabs in front once again to hold this in place while we put it on its. Try and get our screws back in place. Here we go. Slide back up. Let me try and come in from underneath. Get one. Then at least hold it in place. One side done, it should keep the other side in place and allow us to there. Hey Wick, how's it going? Um, I've seen a couple of the sneak photos of the Creator 5. I am interested in reaching out to them. I am a Flash Forge reseller, and I am reaching out to them about that printer and its imminent release at, was it TCT Asia? The next step is to increase this, so hopefully it's easier for you all to see as well. Step 2, step 3, putting this over on its back. These units facing you, so it's kind of matching the machine, and we're going to put those legs on, which are these standoffs. And it looks like, yeah, this kind of U shape that it makes here with this piece, and the outer So this piece is on the inside, this piece is on the outside edge. This is going to kind of go like that. There's that going. Got you. It's going on the edges, front and back. So there are screws here and that are holes here, and that's what we're going to be screwing into. We're going to use the M3H8s. The other thing is there's a new Fetus hot end coming out. I have received, I'll say, the warning order that if I am interested and want to make a purchase so that I have them on launch day, that I can do so. So that may be something that I will also be doing here real soon. So as always, I'm getting both screws started before I screw them down all the way. Always a good thing. Make sure that it's aligned on both sides before you screw it down and tighten it in. Otherwise, you can tighten it on one side and then be just off the screw hole on the other and cause yourself some problems. Open up the others and get our other little standoff pieces. Hey, Maker My Nexus, how you doing? Rating over from YouTube. Well, thank you very much. Hey, Killer Prince, how's it going? Long time no see, my friend. It sounds like it's going to be an even longer trip because you're not going to be able to make it to Rocky Mountain, are you? At this time, I am still planning on going to Rocky Mountain, but I also have not made any trip plans for Rocky Mountain yet, which may make life a little bit harder for me. So part of my problem is I'm going to have sinus surgery on April 8th. And I may not be allowed to travel, or it may be advised not to travel via air, and I cannot afford to drive this year because that puts me out of the store for way too long. So and these screws are being threaded into plastic, so no need to really yank and crank on them. The feel of the tension change on the screw, you're done. Don't go anymore, you're gonna crack some plastic. Okay. I'm going to take this and rotate it back around so that these pieces are facing you all again. And it looks like we are going to be putting some cables in. Got multiple cables here. And we're going to grab one of these. And see. Shapey. Heater side. Kind of looks like it's this way where the USB is going towards the front or away from us. And This one's going to go down into the heater USB-C. So that will go like that. And this will lay in the channel of these standoffs. And the screen piece is just going to hang out. They all appear to be the exact same length. So going to be good to go there. Going to lay freely. There. Freely. This one, and by the way, the one I'm plugging in has a 90-degree connector on it. So it plugs in nicely and then stays out of the way. Again, this one's going to go right down in the groove, front and back. We'll have these separate power pieces here. Okay. Gotta go meet family for dinner. All right, sounds good, Wick. Have a great night. Safe travels. Okay, so step 5. Looks like we have 2 different pieces to put together here. We're going to need some M3x12s to go through the power pack area and down on these pieces here. Power pack area. That would be this one. And where are we looking? Yep. So it looks like our A, B, C, and D, and the power in. This is going to be the power distribution. So this is going to go facing this way. We have A, B, C, and D here. So we're going to go ahead and connect in our USB power cords. There's D, C, D, and A. This gets lined up. Do it. Apparently these cables need to go on the side. Let that sit down fully flat. We're going to get our M3 H12 screws. So once again, our cables kind of need to jog to the outside into that gap there. And then this sits down below these standoffs. We're going to go through these 3 screws, 3 holes, and screw this down into those standoffs. Thank you for the follow, Scratch Plate. Appreciate that. Hope you're doing well this evening. Mad Dog and Killa over there in YouTube land. Hope you guys are having a good one over there as well. Been a good week. Pretty long week, but good week. We had I had my mother-in-law and brother-in-law here for the week, about the last 2 weeks. They took off to travel up north and see some family up on the northeast before heading back to Colorado. I think I mentioned this earlier. We've brought on the Kitty lineup. So we've got the KDQ2C, the KDQ2, and the Max 4, as well as all of those in a combo variety with the Edie box. So that's been a new thing added to the shop, as well as Kadive plates. Bambu 256 size in both gray and purple. Flash Forge size in purple. And the H2 SD size. Those are some of those new items added. Need to add our screen. Looks like we're going to fold all of these down. Kind of make a 90 out of it. Careful. And we've got USB ports here. So these are going to get all plugged in. And yes. So these sides that say screen, this is going to get plugged directly into the back of the screen. And then just like this panel is going to flip down on here and clip in just in the same way. I have to pull our cables back in the standoff some so that everything lines up and it'll drop down in there like so. And then more of our M3 H12s. Now, like what I did before, I'm going to line up the middle ones. Once we get the middle one in, do the outer edge ones. Hopefully everybody's doing well this evening. Does anybody have any big plans for this week? And we got St. Patty's Day coming up in a couple of days. There was a used printer sale today over at Ecovate 3D in Raleigh. Of course, wasn't able to get out there for that because I was here. Righty. That's done. That's done. I'm just going to kind of do some. My cables are looking nice. Here's our two spares of the M3 M12. I mean, the M3 H12. Oof. So what do we do? We got the cables back, make them nice, plug everything in. And then we need to add our 4 power cables. So we have our USB cable. So this is going to provide power and data up to the screen. And then we've got these cables here that are going to break out the power. We're going to bring these around, plug them in. Back out. It's starting to get a little bit busy back here with wires and cables and our PTFE out. Step 7, we need to put on the feetsies. We've got 8 of these little foot pads. 4 of them, it looks like it goes right between the bottoms of these little pieces. Doesn't really seem to go there. Might do the outside. It does look like it goes right in the middle. Have like sort of there. Kind of in the middle of these. And once again, it shows in the middle of that, but oh, I guess I should be able to push it down in there. Yeah, be able to get, nice. Remove the sticky and put in place. And so far, everything we've done, we took the lid off and put a new lid unit on, and then we attached a bunch of stuff externally to the bottom. So we have not functionally changed the AMS in any way, shape, or form with this heater upgrade. And once again, the nice thing about this heater upgrade is it's going to allow us to operate a heated chamber for each individual material. So that way, say we wanted to have ABS and PCTG or PETG, we can have separate chamber temps set up for each one. I think that's kind of a nice feature of this setup here. So that's step 7 there. We've got all of our cables connected in. Got our power and screen connectors coming underneath to the screen. We've got our rubberized feet installed. And I'm seeing step 8 here. Looks like a baffle and a buffer. So I think we're setting this aside for right now. And clean up my mess here. We'll flip that over so you can see what it's looking like. Once again, we've got our 4 independent screens. Each one also has a cover, so we get 4 peel attempts. I think this is going to be the main gist of the unit. Next up, it looks like we're using the front baffles for these acrylic, front baffles. And these, not remember what those were called. is stuff on. Try to take the covering off your acrylic piece. Take one of these and guess we'll find out. Okay, so this is going to have a little bit of squish to it or springiness to it. I'm going to take two of these legs and hook them in. Other one, gentle little push. Now there's a beveled edge here and a beveled edge up here with a straight edge at the top. And I think that's what we're seeing in the picture is the bevel edge at the bottom and the straight edge at the top. This should be the way that this goes on there. There's one. I'm assuming we're going to do all of them. And then we'll just add them in as we go. It opens back. A, B, B, C. Where are these? At the front. A, B, B, C. Get an A. And it looks like this will go down. How to show this? I'm going to see if I can switch over to the main camera. Pull it down. Hello. Main camera. Ooh, big. And down. Hoofed up. That's about as far as we're going to get. So this is lane A. So this is left to right. Maybe reversed in the camera. If so, I am sorry. The two-chamber model be fine if I'm not using different types of plastic. It should be. I don't see why it wouldn't be. So once again, this is the Tetras. So this sets up 4 different chambers. And the Dias sets it up into 2 chambers. So once again, when we put the baffle in this way, we've got the beveled edges facing this plastic baffle, and the bevel edge at the top is facing away from the baffle side. And what I believe I'm seeing is this is going to go down over the whatchamacallit, the spool inlet, or the filament inlet. And I thought it went, kind of looked like it goes all the way down in there. Maybe at an angle. Kind of a tight fit. Kind of a tight fit. There we go. It's not as tight a fit when you actually clip these. When you actually clip these in all the way over so that they're flush. Now that, oh look how much easier that goes in. And it looks like this just goes all the way down right over where the rollers are going to be at. So this should be below the edge, and your baffle basically rests at the front here. And these are non-standard little inlet savers, basically. We can probably take those off so that we work on these. Once again, we're going to take the plastic off of the B now. Beveled edge facing this way. Straight edge facing this way. And that's where we're going to clip in our plastic. Make sure that it's fully seated side to side. And then this will sit down over the second lane. It'll just sit down there. Now we got another B. But yeah, I don't see why the dual chamber wouldn't work just as well. And it's also going to be most likely a little bit cheaper because it'll be a lot less parts. Back on. Okay. And this is the C one. Fit down in there nicely as well. Got all four of those little baffles in place. 2, 3, 4, yep. Step 12, we need to clip some pieces on here in the middle and some in the back as well. So one of the long triangular, pieces. And this is just going to slip down right in the middle. One of the shorter caps. Going to go on each side. Does not appear to be left or right. Make sure that we get it down in there. And then we've got these little guys. These are the ones that are going in the back. And looking at these. Yep. So it's going to be kind of hard to see on screen, but these are cut with a shallow angle and a little bit of a straight here. And these are going to go right down on these angled cuts, I believe. Really is no other place for them to go than that. Oh, flip it around the other way. So wrong way. You've got the thicker opening and then the thinner opening. The thinner opening is what's going over these pieces. So the thicker opening is going to be for our acrylic piece. Which we will have B, A, B. So we've got, once again, two different profiles. We've got two of the B's and then one of the A. We're going to do these two first on the outsides. go ahead and peel off the plastic on the top. Feels like there is. One side and the other. So yeah, it looks like this piece is going towards the back. This. So we're making sure to go in this slot here, as well as in that little piece in the back. And there is a little jog right here and a little jog right here that are going to go over the bearings at the front and back. So we're just going to press this down. There. The other B. Okay. One last one. Hey, Timor, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Most of the Tetris put together already. It seems to go together pretty fast. So there's what it's trying to show in the top edge is there's a little kind of divot right there. And that little divot is going right underneath the edge of the front. So if everything lines up, that's going to basically wedge in and hold things in place. Looking at this, and it feels a little off still. Okay. Doesn't feel like this one's locking in at the. There we go. A little bit of massaging. So this front A baffle that's slanted kept getting pushed. So I just needed to kind of wiggle and push back and forth. And now everything is pretty locked in place now. And this should close. And looks like something's not lining up right yet. This side still keeps popping up. Yeah, these A and C baffles just seem like they need to be kind of pulled over to the side some. There we go. Make room for that one to pop down fully. Doesn't feel like that's lining up all the way. Almost like this one's not fully seating down. Putting it there. There we go. That's sort of the trick. It's telling you to put these plastic pieces on here first, then drop this down. It's almost better to put the It's telling you to put these plastic alignment pieces that these sit in. And I kind of like what I did where I pulled it out and then locked them in and then put it back in place. That might be a better way of doing it if you're having problems getting these locked in. And then also these baffles here, you may have to pull these lanes apart to get this long center baffle pushed down between these two clear ones. It is a tight fit, and it's a tight fit for a reason, so that it all stays sealed. Okay, let's see. Step 14. The rear baffles. Could be 3 of these. Oh, and Dan, your idea sounds great. We're going to be trying to do something similar. The local downtown beat cops. One of them works security for the local community college, and told them about us. And we're hooking up with that community college to be able and provide. How is that going to work? Or is this supposed to go? There we go. Going to push this forward and seal everything up. We're going to be getting with them and hopefully either at the very least doing maintenance and supplies contract with them, but hopefully being able to upgrade their fleet of 3D printers as well. We're going to be hooking in with them, and we're trying to get hooked in with the library because the local library is getting ready to go into a new building. And when they go into that new building, it's going to be like 5 to 6 times bigger than the current library, and they're supposed to have a full up makerspace. Hey Jedi Spidey, how's it going? So these pieces right here, once again, they're slipping down on the back around these plastic pieces, and there's a little, I'll say jut out, just a little cut. And so these are sliding down in that gap. So get it lined up. You may have to pull this edge forward some just to get that started. Push it down until it fully seats. And now you've got a nice, good, solid seal, basically, without coming in. I mean, you could get better by coming in with like some silicone caulking and caulking everything in place, but then maintenance goes out the window at that point. I just realized we're going to have to take most of this out when we go to get in here at any point in time to like change PTFE tubes and stuff. Maintenance on dry motors. This one is going to cover up that big gap in the back as well. So this one is more critical than any of the others, I think, because it closes up that gap in the back where the PTFE tube comes out through the back hole. Hey, Tickering Techie, how's it going? Welcome back in. Yeah, we've got most of the Tetras put together. I think this piece right here that it's telling us is supposed to be the whatever strip of material they were telling us to install. I don't seem to see that strip anywhere. I will look through the box to see if maybe it was in the packaging and I just looked past it. But that appears, yeah. So that almost appears like that would go somewhere back there, but that doesn't make sense either. Because this actually sits in the well around the top. No. Don't, like I said, I did not see that strip. I don't think I have that strip. Yeah, I do not appear to have that strip of material. Here's our extras. You'll be placing an order here in a day or two. Miss Spidey will pick it up when she is in town. Sounds good, Spidey. Sounds good. So, yeah, this piece right here, I think it's meant to be a rubber piece that goes down through here to keep any air from escaping out the back, but I see no place, one, where I would put it because it looks like that's coming from the back. And there's a lip completely around the edge of this that sits down into a gasket lip at the top of the AMS. So I think that may be old or possibly new. Either way, I don't think I have that. So step 16 is we're done. And this is where we would plug it in and be able to start playing with the different screens. Guess this would be a good time to make sure that they gave me a 110 instead of a 240. So the good news is if I plug it in and it's a 240, it won't be because the plug would be different. Plug that in, take this and plug this into power. And was there a no power button? Power button right there on the front. So if you've never seen the Tetras before, what we're seeing here is there are 4 fans, one in each lane. For the dais, there would at least be one for each of the 2 chambers. I don't know why you would think that each of these would still be there on the dais rather than having some of the additional baffles. You would just have the one baffle down the middle to make it 2 chambers. Hey, Diablo Spawn, welcome on in, and thank you for the lurk. And I don't think you noticed it. Let me see if I can flip this around some. Very nice. Yeah, I'm going to kind of turn this around and I'll flip over to the other camera. Because hopefully that'll be a little bit easier. Okay, you see how this popped up? Let me turn this off. Okay, this should pop down eventually. Right now, it pops up when the air vents are kicked on. And I think I just turned it off. Really understand the operation. What I'll do is I'm going to turn this unit on, so this lane, and you'll see this pop up. There you see it rising. So this is what's going to blow that air. So it's going to heat up this side of this chamber, and that vent's going to keep circulating that air, and this is going to allow the warm, moist air out of the system. Really now look at, okay, this one finally stopped and it dropped down and my camera froze. Sweet. I'm going to start playing this game. Back over to the main camera. This one. Yeah, this one is dropped down and now this one is raised up as the airflow gets pushed through. So I will turn that one off. And then as the pressure bleeds out of that chamber, this will slowly go back down again. It's not like a hard pop like a sprinkler head in an underground sprinkler system would be, but it does rise up slowly as the air pressure builds, and it'll fall back down so air pressure bleeds off. So I will flip this back around and let's see, on our screen, we'll have the type of 3D printing filament. We'll have the temperature that we're setting it to, so that would be the SV. The humidity that it is currently reading is in that right hand. So the real-time temperature will be the middle left. That's the temperature that it's currently reached. And then the right-hand middle, you'll have the drying and humidity mode icon. So if it's got humidity, it'll probably come on and then do the drying cycle. Got the amount of time that it's set for, and then the heating power selection icon. So we've got power on off, options, second stage drying mode, settings, up and down. So let's see if it tells us how to work our way through the menu. Press the button once to enter humidity mode. Press the button twice to completely shut down the device. To restore factory settings, press and hold the power off button for 5 seconds. Hey, Daisy, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Material selection. Press the option button, and then we can use the up and down. My other camera is being persnickety today, so I'm trying to use the camera up there to show this off. So if we hit that the little hamburger option button right now, it does nothing because we're not turned on. Make my life easier, I'm going to do the peel on this one. Started here at the bottom, and we're going to peel that right. One down, 3 more to go. Okay, we're going to do a power on. Once again, let's turn this one on, and as that fan spins up, this rear vent raises up as the pressure builds. It's going good, Daisy. It's going good. Okay, now our little option button, bottom left here, we can press that, and we can cycle now from PLA to M2, M1. Come on, is it in? PLA, PETG, ABS. So PLA, PETG, ABS, CPU, and then we get into M1 and M2. We'll have to figure out what M1 and M2 mean. So we do have presets here. PLA, ABS, PETG, TPU, and custom settings for M1 and M2. So there we go. We can go ahead and set some custom settings in here. Say we're doing polycarbonate or we've got nylon. We're going to run those differently so we can get those going. Pressing the setting button to cycle through and adjusting the drying temperature, time, the power, and between drying and humidity mode. Interesting to see what those wind up being. The drying temperature range is between 20 and 65 C. So unfortunately, we're going up to 65 C for any given chamber. And the drying time ranges between 30 minutes and 24 hours. Drying power levels is low, medium, high. That's probably going to be how fast the fan cycles. When double dash is displayed at humidity level, drying mode only. The device shuts down automatically after drying complete. So if you just want to dry the filament, set it up, and as soon as it's done running, stops, which means your vent will eventually close down and seal up the chamber. If there's a humidity value displayed, once the drying process is finished, the device activates the drying automatically to keep the humidity from rising up. That's good. You can also switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit. I probably wouldn't do that. Most 3D printing stuff is done in Celsius. Second stage drying mode. So the two-stage heating allows for optimized drying and printing. Use the first stage to thoroughly dry the filament. Then during the second stage, maintain a slightly lower temp to support stable filaments feeding and printing performance. Okay, so stage two, after you dry your filament, stage two is more of drying while printing, but you're doing it at a little bit lower temperature setting than when you were drying, so that you're not getting the filament too soft as it's getting pulled through and into the automatic sealing. Drying function is active. The sealing cover automatically opens. That's this little piece back here to allow airflow during drying. After drying is complete, the cover automatically closes to seal the chamber and prevent moisture. In case of a sudden power loss or external interference, causing the cover to fall and remain open, you can manually. It says do not touch, automatically air vents. Not sure if I want to manually put it down, but I guess I would if it didn't go down automatically. Here's our presets. So PLA is set to 50 degrees Celsius for 4 hours and the lowest heating level. PETG is 55C for 2 hours. Looks to be at the medium. ABS 60C for 2 hours at medium. CPU 60C for 4 hours at medium. By default, memory 1 is 60 degrees Celsius for 6 hours at medium, and memory slot 2 defaults to 65C for 8 hours at full fan speed. Hey, Royal Nomi, how's it going? Long time no see. Long time no see. How are you? Hope you and the old man are doing well. For those of you that don't know, that is a term of endearment. So, but I hope BC is doing well. Yeah, it's going. Yeah, I still need to reach out to you all. I know BC wanted me to build a box turtle for him, and I just want to know if that's still something he's interested in. And apparently the only way you get the gold frame is if you order a full kit in the gold frame. So if he really wants the gold frame, it's going to be the full box turtle enclosure kit. Been Mia depression a bit. Yeah, been in a depression a bit. Yeah. I will. I'll reach out to him. Let me grab my. But yeah, this is us working on the EIBOS. Once again, this is the Series X Tetras. So once again, this is 4 independent heaters, so 1 per lane. Let me see if switch over to the other camera. It will. So we have 4 independent lanes. So we can heat each lane at a different filament type and for a different length. Also, if we're going to be printing, say we're going to be printing with 2 colors, and when we're done with that, when we're done with that print, we're going to print it again in a different 2 colors. We could be printing while drying these two in that stage 2 mode, where it's a little bit lower of a temperature, but it's kind of preheating that filament and drying it out as a just-in-time type thing while we're drying out the other 2 colors. That allows us to basically run a print and have the next materials getting going, right? Yeah, I know this will come in handy. And the reason I'm doing it on this printer is because this is the one that goes on my original X1C, where I do have a chamber heater mod to it. I do have a bento box mod. So this is the one that I test out all the mods on, but also it's the one that I print the most with ABS and ASA and other things. So when I'm doing my 3D printer builds and stuff, a lot of times I'm printing the parts out on the X1C. So this will come in handy to keep my ABSs, ASAs, and stuff like that dry and help when I'm doing the print so that I get the best quality, especially if I'm doing a custom build for an individual, anybody else. But yeah, this is our unit. I will tell you that, yes, this side is getting nice and warm. Nice having the airflow here. Trying to figure out if the air's coming in or going out. Can't tell. Grab a tissue and see if the air is sucking in or blowing out. It appears to be blowing out. So this is an exit vent. But yep, I'm going to look forward to playing with this and seeing how this works out over time. I'm not going to take it over and put it on the printer right now just because it's clear across the room. But yeah, go ahead and come back over here to the main view. There we go. And once again, the only thing that we technically did to this was take the top off. Everything else, we have a whole new lid, and that new lid has the heater components built in. And, you know, we added some power boxes and some other things to the base unit. So there is nothing that we can't do to take this off and return it to stock if we were going to sell this and maybe take the EIBOS Tetras and put it on like an AMS2 or an AMS2 Pro if the heater broke or something like that. So I really like mods like this that are non-intrusive, won't require you to basically completely rebuild something or be in such a way that you have to that you can't return it to stock. Now, I would also say don't put this on here, and if it somehow fries something, take it off, return it to stock, and return the unit. You know, the AMS is, oh, it broke. You have modded it. So but this one, like I said, has got plenty of time on this particular AMS unit. And, you know, like I said, I will probably wind up taking the EIBOS off of it just to do some preventative maintenance. Pretty sure the rollers are getting to the point where I'm going to need to swap rollers out. and stuff like that. And, PTFE tubes. I'm surprised I haven't blown out any PTFE tubes. I do run abrasive materials through my AMS. Good, as you shouldn't. You're going to grind up your first stage gearing in your first stage extruder that's in the front of your AMS that pulls the filament in. And you can easily blow out your PTFE tubes real easily because it's going to wear those PTFE tubes out quicker, right? But I look at PTFE tubes as what they are, consumables. You have to run? All right, thanks, Mad Dog Jeff. Have a good one. Hopefully I saw that in time to say bye to you before you had to leave. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well and you've had a great weekend. It is about 9 o'clock. We started about 7:30. I'm not going to stay on here too long tonight because I'll be honest, I've been burning it at both ends. And with allergy and pollen season starting, yeah, this whole stuff is a mess with that stuff going on. So, but the store's doing well. We had pretty steady traffic throughout the day today. Every few hours or every hour or so, people were coming in. Some people were just, checking it out and seeing, what's this new store here? A lot of people came in and said, hey, we've seen your ad on Facebook, or we saw a post in the newspaper or on the Sanford Herald online. So that was pretty cool. We did have about a half-page spread in the paper on our ribbon cutting ceremony, which was really cool. So the nice thing is we did a soft opening in January and got some publicity from that. We did our full launch February 7th, our grand opening, and we got some good publicity for that as well. And then we did the ribbon cutting in March. So a lot more people are coming through where they've seen us in the paper, they've heard about us, and that's only going to increase as we get tied in with the local Central Carolina Community College and the library. We're also reaching out to the local schools to try and see if we can't either help get some 3D printing, 3D printers in the school, some curriculum going, or just some awareness of some of the other technology that's out here now here in Sanford, North Carolina. Because right now there hasn't been anything, there hasn't been a 3D printing store here in Sanford, and everybody's option has been to drive 30, 40 minutes into Raleigh or drive a couple of hours into Charlotte to go to Micro Center. There are a couple of Best Buys around here. If you go into Best Buy and say, hey, I want to buy a printer, they're going to look at you and say, please go online. They sell some 3D printers. They sell Bambu printers. They don't actually have them in stores, or at least not here. They're not stocking them in stores, so they don't have the knowledge. That's the one thing that I have here with Digital Dragon 3D in Sanford, North Carolina, is I'm local. I am a reseller for FlashForge, KeyTech, and Bambu. Reseller for Fadis parts. We've started carrying Kadive plates. I'm still working to reach out. Let me rephrase that. I have reached out and I have the basis of a deal for Fabrico to bring in the Fabrico Honey Badger line, as well as West 3D to bring in some ambrosia filament. It's more right now just the proper business management side of things. I've bootstrapped this. I don't have any other funding, so I'm funding this out of my pocket. And so I cannot just bring everybody in that I want right at the beginning. I'm having to build up my product line and my vendors slowly, so I can make sure that I have the cash flow at the right times to, cover the bills. Um, and so far, that hasn't been an issue, but I just want to make sure and manage that out, because I would rather be here for the next 5, 10 years than flash in, flash out, right? Because that doesn't do me any good. That doesn't do the community any good. And it doesn't do the local 3D printing and makers here in Stanford. Yep, slow and steady as she goes. But let's see, what else? Talked about filament that got brought in. That's going to be some sketchy filament. So I don't know if I'm really going to print with it or what I'm going to do with it, but we'll take a look at it and do something. I was working on the Raise 3D Pro 2 Plus on and off today, and I am realizing I swapped out the servo. Did get new servos because the tool head or the nozzles weren't swapping over, and that's what the servo does is kind of rocks one up and down. And I wound up I was still getting some weirdness, especially with the thermistors. So I will turn it on and the thermistors will read, and then all of a sudden it takes a thermal error and shuts down, and it is calling out the tool head thermistor. And other times it comes up, it works just fine and dandy, and I've had it heating up and moving around. Um, what I am, what I think, I took the main, so there's two main wires that come through the umbilical. There's power, with a couple of powers and a ground, and then this really, it looks like 30 gauge cable, or it's like a 14 or 20 um, cables coming through a thick cable, but it's like 20 gauge on the inside cables. They're not using all of them. I did find that out. It is shielded, which is good since it's running next to a power cable as well for this long run up to the tool head. But I noticed that it appears that if you hit it, because it does this big 90-degree bend as it comes out of the cable chain, that I will get the lights come on and it start acting right, and then the lights go off. So I think I have a broken cable, and I took the top out, or I took the connections at both end out, and I checked continuity all the way through. And I do have continuity. I did have one pin push out of the lower connector, so I reseated that. But I am getting different ohm values across some of the wires. Like they're ohming out at a different resistance. So since they're all the same type of wire, that leads me to believe that I've got a bad um, wire or two in the cable. So I've ordered a new cable, and I also ordered the power cable. It goes from the, I believe it goes from the tool head, or the tool head down to the main board. So I've got both of those cables coming in. So that'll be fun to tear that apart and replace it. But we'll do that. And once again, the whole point is trying to get this printer up and running. And a couple of days ago, I had somebody come in that was sent to us from Ecovate 3D because they work like 5-6 minutes from my location. And so they came in and bought some filament, but they were also excited, and they asked, because they saw the Raise 3D here, and they're like, "Do you work on those?" And I was like, "Yeah, I work on just about any printer. In fact, I've got a Trudon V1 400 by 400 by 500 sitting over there right now that I'm working on. And we've turned it from RepRap firmware, because it has the FormBot board in that Trudon V1 is a custom Duet 2 board. So it's a Duet 2 and a Duet 2 EX board smashed together into one monolithic board. It's running Clipper, and I've got it running on a Raspberry Pi 4 and a Big Tree Tech 5-inch TFT screen, but I'm getting random disconnect. And I don't know if it's a board issue. I don't know if it's a cable issue, because I am trying to shunt out the power, because you don't want to backfeed power into the duet boards. I may wind up throwing in the towel and swapping into a Big Tree Tech Octopus board for that. I'll have to talk to the customer, because that will be more work, just in the fact that almost every single connector going to the board will have to be re-terminated to the correct, JST wiring. That'll be another option that we. But long story short is, they have a Raise 2 Pro, or excuse me, a Raise 3D Pro 2, meaning not the Plus. So the 300 by 300 by 300 instead of the 600. And theirs is also not working. So that may be another Raise 3D coming into the shop for some. Does continuity stay when doing the 90-degree bend? So Pickering Techie, the continuity stays, but the resistance changes as I move the end of the cable. That's my concern. Is something is causing the resistance to change in that wire, and it's only 3 wires out of 14. So at this point, I can't even terminate a different set of wires, because the extra wires they cut off where they so it's a decent size, probably. I mean, it's probably about the size of our standard CAN bus or the USB umbilical cables. Maybe a little bit bigger, but it's got 20 wires in it, and it's shielded around those 20 wires. So they probably did about that much of, took the outer insulation away and the shielding away, and then they cut all the extra wires right at the end of the shielding where they took the initial insulation off, and then they repinned everything. And like I said, they're like 30 gauge wires. They're tiny. And I have no way of. There's no slack in the cable to even attempt to try and cut off a length and re-terminate. You could potentially do that if you were reusing that cable on a standard Raise Pro 2 versus the Pro 2 Plus. Because then you would have excess length in that cable. And I think literally that's the issue. I don't think it's broken anywhere in the cable chain. I think it's like within that length, probably the first or the last 2 to 3 inches of the cable is where the break is. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm stuck. So I'm gonna get a new cable, and what I will probably do is disconnect the existing cable and just route it outside the chain just to do a check and make sure that it works. And if that solves the problem, then I will take it and take the old cable out, route the new cable all the way around. So I've got to take off a bunch of the panels and get up in there and cut probably about 40 wire ties. It'll be fun. I look forward to it. Because the other thing I have to do is flip the whole printer over on its side, because it goes literally underneath the printer and then back up into the board. Yeah, fun times. Fun times. But yeah, I mean, I like doing it too. So it'll be something I'll do probably I can test that wire out and just run it, kind of around and up the side and test it. And if that fixes the problem or seems to, then I'll probably take and reroute the wire after closing one day or before opening one day. We'll just have to see how that goes. But I think this is where we're going to leave it for tonight. I don't know if I can raid out YouTube because the way I'm dual streaming out of OBS into YouTube. I have no idea how to do any type of raid or follow over on YouTube. So let me take a quick gander over on Twitch and see who may be live on Twitch we can raid into. Bird Peanut. Twitch being a pain. Just see that. Twitch. That's better. Oh, it looks like Pez Liz is up and running. Pop. Let's go harass Liz. I haven't seen her in a little while. I have, but thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for those of you that talked me into figuring out how to dual stream on both platforms. That's been great. Other than having some internet issues that day, which I think was just internet issues, not anything necessarily with me. It could have been one of two things. Either it's something with OBS itself, or it could be OBS, could be my internet provider, or it could have been we go through Cloudflare for our DNS here at the shop. So it could have been one of those 3 points, could have had a blip somewhere. Other than that, we're doing great. Thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate you coming out and spending the evening with me. And you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the nice weather while we have it. And enjoy your St. Patty's Day coming up. Remember, eat some pie. It's Pie Day, folks. We forgot about that. It's Pie Day. Go eat some pie. Take care, everybody. Join me as we raid over into. Bye now.